In what comes as a shocker to no one who's been following the racist rhetoric around the coronavirus, attacks against Asian people are on the rise. People across the world and in all age groups are being targeted, from teenagers in Australia,
Asian dog, yeah,
to older people in New York.
Police say the man in this video made anti-Asian statements when he attacked a 59-year-old man.
And the US government isn't keeping official track. But a reporting center called Stop AAPI Hate has received approximately 1,135 reports of discrimination in just 2 weeks since mid-March, with verbal harassment the most commonly reported, along with physical assaults and spitting. And this is nothing new. Older Asian Americans have already experienced mass discrimination. There were the Japanese concentration camps during World War II, the murder of Vincent Chin in 1982, and the looting that all but decimated Koreatown during the 1992 LA riots. But for many young Asian Americans, this might be the first time that they're experiencing this sort of mass discrimination, and they're not taking it. They're pushing back. Take the mislabeling coming straight from the White House.
Chinese virus.
This is the Wuhan coronavirus.
The Wuhan virus.
This mislabeling can harm Asian American-owned businesses. Kimmy Yam is a reporter for NBC Asian America, and she's combating this racism with facts-based reporting.
The World Health Organization, the director of the CDC, all these agencies have already come out and said that, the proper term to use is not Chinese virus or Wuhan virus. It is just literally COVID-19 or the novel coronavirus. Something that's much easier to do than go actually dig up facts is to blame a community. We can look at something like swine flu, for example, and the pork industry actually took a huge hit. And those farmers took a huge hit, even though I believe that there was very little evidence that the disease could come from pork consumption.
Wow.
And so if something like that, if it's literally an animal, an industry like that, can be impacted so hugely, think about what that might mean when someone, hears that, oh, something comes from China.
What's your way of dealing with it if someone uses that term inaccurately against you?
The only thing that you can really do when people are coming at you with just emotions and feelings that have no factual basis, just come at them with facts.
And speaking of facts, there was some confusion about face masks, which the CDC now recommends that we all wear. But masks were the third most commonly cited reason for discrimination against Asian Americans, which makes no sense to medical experts like Alex Tang, who heads up an association of Asian American healthcare providers.
We're going to make it mandatory that they wear a mask. It's not just about protecting our safety, it's also protecting the patient after them.
And have you been experiencing any racism or backlash after coronavirus?
When the pandemic started, it completely disrupted our ability to serve our patients. It sort of made us powerless, but we didn't want it to make us powerless because we pivot our focus into this project.
The project is a mobile testing clinic to step in where the federal government has failed.
The meat of it is providing COVID screening access to the underserved population. And then once the model works well, then work with the local representative to even get more funding so that we can increase it even more, and then provide it for those undocumented and immigrant population as well too. Those that are the foundation of our workforce.
And among the workforces most severely impacted is the food and beverage industry, where Asian-owned restaurants were among the first to suffer thanks to racist misinformation.
China is to blame because the culture where people eat bats and snakes and dogs and things like that.
The culture where people eat snakes? Is he referring to the rattlesnake roundups back in his own state? Anyway, Megan Ruin is working to combat this exotic food culture stereotype.
One thing that's important for us is recognizing that the entire food and beverage industry has been affected. However, I do think that Asian food and beverage businesses in particular have suffered disproportionately. And, I think a lot of that has to do with the incorrect association between the coronavirus and Chinese people.
That's what's so crazy to me personally, because Asian food isn't necessarily exotic.
You know, one thing that we've noticed working with food and beverage founders through Gold Rush is that there's actually been a lot of mainstreaming of Asian food and beverage products.
And her strategy involves partnering with lots of other businesses so that everybody wins.
Partnering with local food delivery platforms like Postmates to highlight Asian restaurants and try to drive revenues back to those vendors in the short term.
What are other ways that young people can take action against this backlash?
Young people are lucky because this generation has historically just not been willing to accept the status quo. So I think now more than ever, it's important to sort of step up and not be silent when you see mistreatment and bigotry going on, and to do your part to help your community in whatever way you can.
To stay involved and informed about the coronavirus, keep it right here at MTV News.